What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Black woman explains what ICE has done in Chicago in the black neighborhood. Now, I want you guys in Chicago, all right, you black and you Latinos, to realize that even though you guys fight each other over streets you don't own, okay, streets you don't own, territory that you don't control, white folks, all right, racist white folks who join police departments as their official gangs, right, are having a blast doing what they've been wanting to do to you for decades. Okay, this is stop and frisk on steroids. They get you Latinos and openly discriminate against you simply off the way you look. All right, to say, oh, if you're a Latino, you could possibly be an illegal immigrant. You know, they don't look at white people and say, you could possibly be an illegal immigrant from Europe, because there are plenty of illegal immigrants from Europe, but they don't have to worry. All right. And you black folks, they're looking at you, say, hey, you could be Haitian, Jamaican, whatever, right? Maybe you turned off your accent, whatever, but we're going to check because we have plausible deniability. We're just checking. And since our racist neo-Nazi administration has given the power to all these institutions to do this to you, these white men who are soiling their pants right now, because they get together with their best buddy, right? And they get to rain terror upon you officially, and there's nothing you can do about it. You see, these same white boys would never come to you out of uniform and do any of this stuff to you. They wouldn't go to the Latino community and do it. They wouldn't go to the black community and do it. But with that protection of that badge and the powers given to them by their most precious president, they are able to officially harass you and terrorize you, as they're doing in Chicago. All the black neighborhoods, all the what they like to call minorities, even though these are the minorities. Keep in mind, Europeans are the minorities. They're the true minorities, all right? So they're in Chicago. I'm sure they're going to be in Baltimore. They did it in DC. Keep in mind, they're not dealing with the states that have all this white on white, right on right crime, all the murders and all these things that's happening that we see on TV, all the school shootings. None of that's important. What's important is for this white supremacist administration to show you black and brown people who's in charge. And by detaining you and not arresting you, the loophole is they didn't really violate your constitutional rights, because they just detain you. They have the right to detain you, not quite arrested, but we can hold you for a couple hours, right? And because they cover their face, because they're cowards, right, under the guise of, oh, they might get doxxed, they're covering their face because they don't want you to see what they're doing wrong. Because if they were right and just, they would have no need to cover their face. You see, police officers who are doing their job have no need to cover their face. But ones who get the opportunity to flex their innermost desires and flex against their insecurities against a group of people who they are scared of, who they are intimidated by, who's overpopulating them, who's succeeding despite the discrimination, the institutionalized discrimination that's always being pressed upon them. They don't like that. They get to attack that, because that is the enemy. Black progress, brown progress is the enemy of Europeans who are insecure. And like I said, all police officers and federal police officers are not racist, but racist people join these institutions because it gives them power they wouldn't have otherwise. I've known these guys in the military. I know these guys in the private sector. I've known these guys. All these type of guys, I've seen all of them. And all of them have a chip on their shoulder. That to join these federal law enforcement services is to join the army of white supremacy, to join the institution of white power in order to rain vengeance upon those who are not real Americans. You see, if you're a Latino, you're not a real American. If you're black, you're not a real American is white, straight. Because we know by now we know how fabulous most of them are, right? Straight presenting. Let's start saying that. White, straight presenting Christian males. Anything outside of white, straight presenting Christian males, because you know a lot of them are fabulous, right? But they keep that shit in the closet. That's for when they go to the conference. They go on Grindr and they do their things behind the closet. The closet for these individuals, it's okay. All right, that's out of the bubble. What happens in the bubble stays in the bubble. What happens on Grindr stays on Grindr. What happened to the Republican conference stays at the Republican conference. But outside of the bubble, which we will not talk about, we are white presenting males protecting America from criminals and illegal aliens. Remember, black people are criminals, Latinos are illegal aliens, Muslims are terrorists, Native Americans are savages. May we go on? They use these terms to justify their barbaric, savage behavior. And that's exactly what's happening legally, all right? Remember, all laws that's legal are not right. Remember, slavery is legal. Jim Crow was legal. You know, the black codes was legal. Redlining was legal. All these things bad, but legal. Because when you control the system, when the criminal is in charge, criminality becomes legal. Just that simple. But anyway, I'm gonna let this black woman explain in detail what happened. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn some, teach them. I'm out.
Did you hear about the midnight raid in South Shore in Chicago? Here's what just happened and why this matters to you. Are you ready? Let's go. So last night in Chicago's South Shore, federal agents, ICE, swarmed a residential building. Did y'all hear about this? Okay. Now, this was in the dark of early morning that this happened, and the operation actually left these black folks, these residents, traumatized. Because wouldn't you be? Yeah. So questioning constitutional boundaries was absolutely what happened, and demanding accountability is the next thing. So voices from the ground, and what we should be watching for is what we're getting ready to go over right now. You ready? If you're not, go ahead and scroll on now, because a lot of y'all like to argue and stuff and say that we're lying and we're making this up. But baby, this was reported on by their local news. So the raid took place around 75th and South Shore Drive, according to DHS. There were 37 arrests that were made, with the CBP, the FBI, and the ATF that was involved. Now, their media confirms that U.S. citizens were among those that were detained, though temporarily. Now, residents report agents asking names, birth dates, and demands of warrants, even unrelated ones. There is actual video of people in zip ties being led to a nearby school lot at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, witnesses have actually described tear gas, flashbangs, property destruction, and van transports segregating black people from immigrants. Now, here's what some of the folks that were there actually said. They just treated us like we were nothing. It was scary because I had never had a gun in my face. They asked, "Do you have any warrants?" I told them, no, I didn't. They're like piling us all up. It wasn't no room to move anywhere. They was terrified. The kids was crying. They had them zip tied together. One of them literally laughed and said, "Fuck them kids." They had big 15-inch chainsaws cutting the fence down. They had the black people in one van and the immigrants in another. I was placed in a plastic zip tie handcuffs and detained for nearly 2 hours. Once I went into the hallway, they put us in the plastic wristband thingies. They just took our information. Someone else said, "I don't like how they did it because us Americans, we didn't have anything to do with them." Now, these aren't isolated testimonies, folks. These are a painted pattern of mass detentions, indiscriminate treatment, and fear in a black neighborhood with Americans. Okay. So here are the constitutional concerns. The raid raises urgent Fourth Amendment questions: search, seizure, warrants, detaining U.S. citizens under suspicion of immigration violations or unrelated warrants erodes legal protections. Number one, Racial and community impact. So South Shore is predominantly a Black neighborhood. So this kind of forceful nighttime raid, sweeping entire buildings, fuels distrust, trauma, and the question, who is being policed? But we don't need to ask that question, because what were you doing there anyway? You already knew. Transparency and accountability. DHS, ICE, they've made statements but have not released full arrest records or evidence backing gang affiliation claims. Communities deserve clarity. But in this case, no one cares until it's your neighborhood. Precedent and ripple effect. If allowed unchecked, this kind of tactic may expand into other vulnerable neighborhoods across the country. So here's the question. You ready? Is ICE or DHS publishing detailed warrants or arrest justifications? Which detainees are being charged and for what? Do we know? What legal challenges are going to follow? Will constitutional rights be asserted in court? How will community leaders respond? Protests, legal suits, public pressure, we're going to see about that too. And what federal oversight or local pushback will emerge from this? Because the question is if you're doing this in one Black community, oh baby, listen, this is just the beginning. So what's your call to action? Share this information, look for answers, continue to keep your ear to the street, and demand answers from your elected officials in your community. Find out how protected you are and learn and understand exactly what that amendment says. And what is that? The Fourth Amendment, folks. Let's not get beside ourselves and not do the research or the due diligence that is necessary. It is the Fourth Amendment. Because see, when your neighbors are terrorized in the middle of the night, silence is complicity. Are you complicit? Hope not. For more news and information that you can always use, head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio, and you guessed it, Brownstone Living Magazine. We'll see you around.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.